Welcome to the Socialize Strategy, January 12th, 2024. This is Friday's edition of the Socialize podcast, where we do a deep dive into the newsletter, covering the points that we shared in more detail and addressing some commonly asked questions. But this Friday edition is more strategy based and not so much about the trends. However, I'm Helen Juli. My daughter and I, Julie, work together to bring you weekly trends, original content ideas, music suggestions, tips, and general social media help so that you can create better content. And the way we work it is on Tuesday, we send out those trends and tips. And on Friday, we deep dive into a social media strategy topic. So without further ado, let's move on and talk about what we sent out this morning in terms of strategy. The question that we answered was, what is the best way to plan content so you can consistently post and grow on social media? This is such an open-ended question with so many different answers that we could provide. So rather than just do a quick one liner in a newsletter, we decided to make a whole newsletter dedicated to this topic. So let's start with some of the suggestions that we really stand behind and we live by as creators ourselves. First of all, figure out how much you can post realistically on a week to week basis. If you set a goal for yourself that is not realistic, you're immediately going to fail and feel like a failure. So, a good idea is to really give it some thought. Say, all right, how much time do I really need to create? How many videos can you realistically do week to week? And really make it a manageable amount. I suggest starting with less and then working your way up. It's a better way to be successful, because if you're succeeding, you'll want to do it more. If you're failing, you're immediately going to want to give up. So it's a good idea to give yourself a realistic goal. It's just like when you try to clean your house and you say, I'm going to clean the whole house in one day. No, no, no. Start with a few drawers, then move on to a closet. All right. So don't overwhelm yourself with trying to do too many things. And that's really hard. I live by that one because I tend to be a person who wants to tackle everything at once. So I'm a very learned person when it comes to how to manage my own expectations of myself. All right, so first set those goals. You might even think, I'm going to write them down, I'm going to make time. So let's get into the next thought, which is batch creating. So I have not always been a batch creator. I've definitely do week to week. I decide, oh, I'm going to post this today, I'm going to post that tomorrow, and I make my videos on the fly. But over the course of time and becoming a creator that people are relying on, they are looking for my videos week to week, I have come to a place where I realize I have to plan better. So now, a lot of times when I sit down to make a video, I do think about batch creating. And I'm like, all right, I'm dressed, I'm ready, I'm in my camera set up, my microphone's going, I have a good background. And I think, how many videos can I actually make right now? And I try to make a list. I used to change my shirt, try to make it look like a different day. Forget it. You don't need to do that. No one is really watching your content video after video in a row necessarily. And P.S., if they are, they don't even care about your clothes change. They care about your content. So don't stress yourself about putting the content and making sure you have to change things, because that will take time. You'll start to get critical. I used to be reanalyzing my wardrobe. Oh, I don't like the shirt. And my whole closet was emptied onto my bed trying to do videos. So I stopped doing that. I got into one outfit and then I power out the kind of tutorials or whatever the type of content is that I want to create that day. That is a really helpful tip. So do take that advice, please. Next up is think about using outside tools to help you stay organized. So when Julie and I work together and we're creating content for the Socialize platform, we need to share content back and forth. And it became challenging to keep up. Like, she's got some drafts in her phone, I've got drafts in my phone. How are we going to make sure that we both like what each other are doing? And we want to make sure we can comment on each other's work. And so we use Airtable, and that link is in the newsletter. So Airtable is a great place to post. You can actually screen record your content or save it to your phone when you create videos. If you do it in CapCut, or using those outside platforms to create, is very helpful. And you'll hear gurus say, you have to record in the app, otherwise the algorithm's going to know it's not going to push your content out. Phooey. I say phooey to that. If you have good content, no matter how it's filmed, no matter how it's posted, where you put your text and your titles, of course, there's things you can do to help with the SEO and using the native text, but it's better to put out content that you're actually going to be able to do on a weekly basis versus be stressed out that you have to sit there and add things and create things right in the app, which is way more time consuming. So when we use Airtable together, we actually save our draft to our phone, And then we just upload it. It's very easy to do. You can airdrop it to a computer. You can upload it right into the platform and you post it. You put it there. You can type in captions. You can type in hashtags. You can actually even have a section where you can say approve, viewed, pending approval, or whatever. It's a very nice organizational tool to use. Okay, I'm losing my voice today for some reason. Apologies. All right, so using tools is great. We're recommending Airtable as our main one. If you like Notion, if you like those platforms like Planoly or Later, where you can actually post through the platform itself, that's great. We tend to like posting more and organically. At least I do. I like to have the drafts in my phone and post them rather than depend on a scheduling platform. And that's just personal taste. So if you like a scheduling platform, give it a try. I know that some of them don't support TikTok and they don't support video content. So you'll have to go and do your own deep dive on that. But it's a good way to think about getting organized is using a tool. All right. We love that. Here's another good tip. Recycle and repost your content. And you know why I like this one? Because I have a great personal example of a time I did it. And it was double successful the second time I posted. So what I mean here is if you're creating a lot of photos and video content and you have one that really did well, and then some time has passed, and maybe it's been a few months since that video was seen, but it was really good and it performed well. Maybe it even went viral. You can actually you can repost the exact same video, or you can say, I'm just going to remake the video because it's very easy once a video is created to reshoot it and have a different spin on it. Or for me it was before I had chemo, so I had my old hair, and then I went through chemo, and then now I have a new look, so I didn't want to repost that video because it's certainly going to look old because it was my former long hair. So I decided I'm just going to remake the video, and I set up the I love stop motion, and I set it up and I did the video again. I did basically the same lesson and it performed. The first time I had 3 million views on it. The second time it's about to hit 7 million views. So typically when you have a topic that hits with an audience, it could hit again. So remake your content. I mean, don't just kill yourself thinking of new ideas, new ideas, new ideas. It's okay to post the same idea. It's going to reach new people. And that's one that is such a good tip. Really, I didn't really think much about it. Julie's the one that suggested this one in the newsletter. And I was like, I actually do it. I didn't really think of it as a suggestion. It's just something I do organically in my own life. I look back and I think I really should teach how to put text on a video again, because a lot of people are new here and they don't know how to do it. So think about something that you posted. Think about how it might want to live again in a new way, in a new life, in a new outfit, or even just in a new environment, wherever you might be filming now might have changed. The next one, and I love it because I am very much the embodiment of this, is be spontaneous. Allow yourself to just have an idea and post it off the cuff, unplanned. Get off your strategy, forget about your mission. Think about what you want to do in that moment. You have an idea, you see something funny, you say you want to post it. The one thing I would caution is to think if it's staying with your core I guess your core message, your North Star. So I don't post negative content, but sometimes I'll see something I'm like, oh, I should post a video about this. It's so aggravating if I'm like in an airplane or at an airport. And then I ask myself, is this really on brand for me? Do I really want to post and bring out like negative energy into my feed? So I don't do it. But that's a really good point to think about. If you want to keep a consistent flow in a vibe in your content and you want to do something spontaneous, ask yourself if the spontaneous thing is still within your core, I guess, vibe or mission, or I think just your North Star personality, so that you're not bringing something totally new into the party. And then all of a sudden now you're going to invite angry people into your comments, for example. That's what would happen to me. So I have no interest in that. I don't want to invite negativity. So your spontaneous moments should also support your core message, but having them is great. And so here's what I recommend. Save the trends from the Socialize Forecast Tuesday newsletter. When you tap on those links, just hit favorites, put them in a folder. And then when you need to be spontaneous, or when you see something and you think, oh, let me see if a trend would work for this, then you could quickly look into your favorites, look into that folder, look at those trends, and then grab one and try it. It's such an easy way to create quick content during the week, especially if you're busy. And then at the end of the day, I mean, this last point is that you need to create a plan that works for you. So you have to be realistic. If you start setting these goals and you can't meet them, it's just going to get frustrating. And there's no pressure if you need to skip a day to post. You don't have to say, I'm going to post every day and, oh, now you're a failure because you missed a day. No, no, it's okay. Maybe then realign your expectations for the following week and determine if you want to post 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week, or post 5 days a week instead of 7 days a week. So think about that as just a general idea of how you move forward on your content. Now I'm just going to take time to answer a few questions. But before I do that, I'm going to say that I love when we get a response to the newsletter where someone just, or they just submit in the hit the little question submit thing and they write me a note. And it's like this. Oh, Helen, you can't imagine how much I needed to hear this today. I feel drained, lost for energy, and my views are low. After spending 3 hours on a video that got less than 1,000 views, I just have to take a break. And knowing that that is not a bad thing is a very good thing. So, Vivian, thank you for dropping that comment into the chat on the submit question so that I could see that and feel that this mission and the purpose that I'm putting out is actually hitting home. So, love that. That was such a good one. I would like to maybe address a question. So somebody submitted a question saying, I would like to start a business selling products. Where do I begin with content, especially if I want to be faceless, but I still want to be engaging or informative? All right. It is a fact that when you put your face out there, people will grab onto your message quicker. So you have to be much more clever if you decide you want to be faceless. However, many brands do it very successfully. So what you need to do is when you're scrolling through the For You page, think, oh, is there a face in this video? Literally start looking, just like if you're going to buy a car and you're saying, I'm going to buy a Volkswagen, you suddenly see all the Volkswagens on the road. Think about face versus not face and literally lock in on that as you scroll through the For You page and see how the videos that are more viral and have a lot of views, how are they producing their content without their face? Is it working? Why is it engaging? Do a little analysis. This doesn't mean copy that person. This means think about why it works and make a list of the things because the voiceover was good, because the visuals were interesting, because the cuts were quick. Like analyze the content that you enjoy watching. And then think about those points when you're making content. So you don't have to remake of someone's video. That would be terrible. And it's a terrible idea. Please don't do that. It's like stealing people's work. But think about the things that made you stay, the things that made you watch, the things that you enjoyed about it. And that's why you stuck around for the rest of the video. It's just a good way to do self assess your content and make a plan for how you might want to make content without your face in it. Someone else asked about the promote option and what do you think of it? And personally, TikTok is definitely interested in making money through people paying to promote their content. Personally, I have never done it. I don't have an interest in doing it. I think what happens there is number one, you're not going to get views that you want. There's a lot of platforms that are promising you views, and those views are not coming from people who are necessarily going to engage with your video. So views don't equal engagement automatically or virality. So it's just a good idea to stay as organic as you can unless you have a business and you have advertising dollars and you want to promote it. I don't recommend spending money or time on that promote feature personally. So I'm sure TikTok would not like me saying that on TikTok. So I'll just keep that here on the podcast. Last, the last thing I'm going to leave you with is this new feature. I'm actually going to do a tutorial about this probably today, and I'll post about it next over the weekend or in the next newsletter. But TikTok is definitely pushing out this new feature, which looks like still photo carousels. And there's a whole invite join where you can join and if people are sharing photos of food, you're supposed to join and put your photos of your brunch or your food or whatever. So I've done a bit of a deep dive into that, and I'm going to be providing more info. So stay tuned for the next podcast where I'll do a further analysis of what that is. And by then, I probably will have shot the tutorial. All right, so that is it for today. I hope that you enjoyed listening. This was a quick one. If you would like to leave us a review or a comment, we would love it. Of course, depending on where you're watching, if you're on YouTube, you can drop a comment. If you're in one of the podcast platforms, I think you can just leave a review. And you can always make sure to be subscribed to the newsletter so that you actually get the email, and feel free to respond to that. You know where to find us on social media. And of course, we have our free workshops, which are all posted on hellosocialize.com. We're going to have a new workshop series coming. I have just been swamped in the new year that I haven't even been able to plan it yet, but it is coming, I promise you. And you know where to find us on social media. It is at The Mothership with a U and at Julie Polisi. That's JuliPolise, my partner in social media. And she's not going to be on every single podcast because it just depends on the timing, but we'll be doing some together and some separately. And we will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being here.